Jared Poland, FronosPhoto.com, out here today to test out the Phantom 4. That's right, we're at a former Navy landing strip where they used to fly B-2 bombers. We're gonna fly the Phantom 4, run it through its paces. This is a real-world review of the Phantom 4. Let's go do it. Welcome to Safety Town. Why are we out here in Safety Town? Because we are going to fly the DJI Phantom 4, the brand new drone that clocks in at $1,399. Now there's a lot of new features in this drone, even though 8 months ago they released their latest Phantom 3 Professional, or the 4K. This thing is a lot more advanced, and it is pretty awesome. So what do we have here? Other than the sleek new glossy shell, you have a new way of putting the props on. It's just press and turn. They go on much easier. You have a new battery. You get 28 minutes of battery life, but this thing also has a new gimbal. It's more stable, and that is much better than the old one, and the stability is absolutely it's absolutely important. You also have a new lens on there, which is supposed to be 8 times sharper. This is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to test this out. That's why we came out to Safety Town, to get out here and fly, and that's what we're going to do right now. So one of the new features that DJI was pushing quite a bit is the sport mode. When you put this thing into sport mode, you're getting 45 miles per hour of speed. It is motoring, but you have to remember, when you go into sport mode, you are no longer getting the obstacle avoidance. So make sure you don't run it into a wall, because it's not going to avoid the obstacle when you're in sports mode. Sports mode is really cool because if you want to get the drone out somewhere quicker, you can get it all the way out to where you want it. You can switch it back into regular mode, and you can start filming from there. But remember, when you're in sports mode and you're flying at a 45-degree angle, you're gonna get some of the props in the video while you're shooting. So make sure that your camera's either tilted down further, or that you're okay with having some of the props in the image. So far, flying the DJI Phantom 4 has been a ton of fun, but I want to say that it's been extra windy out here. We weren't expecting it to be so windy, but I have to say that the drone has handled itself very well. There's a lot of cool things out here for us to shoot, everything from Safety Town to the X's in the ground to making it seem like we're flying or going down a landing strip, because honestly, this was a landing strip. So this has been a lot of fun flying this, and it's handled extremely well. Quick tip. What monitor should you use? Well, I personally am using the iPad Air 2. That's what I like to fly with. I don't want to fly with the phone, way too small, and I don't want to fly with the iPad mini. That is also way too small. Now, I'd love to fly with the iPad Pro, the 12-inch one, but it wouldn't fit. I could put it on a stand, but in this case, I think the perfect choice is an iPad Air. Keep in mind, with whatever you're shooting with as a monitor, you want to have a hood. You want to put a hood over it so it's easier to see, especially in bright daylight like where we're at. You can search them up on Amazon. You're looking at anywhere from $9.99 to $14.99 depending on the model that you purchase. Really easy, really simple to use. Just pop it on there. The hood is great, and it's going to block the extra stray light, making it easier to see as you fly. All right, so now we're gonna test out the Phantom 4's active track, which is a new mode. I got Richie over here who's gonna be flying, and I am gonna go ride my scooter this way. All right, Richie, lock me in. Active Track is a feature that I was really looking forward to try out. In some of the other drone companies, you have to wear, say, a watch or a wristband or something to have the drone actually follow you. Well, with the DJI Phantom 4, you actually touch the screen, draw a box, hit go during Active Track, and it's supposed to follow you around. Now, we did it 4 times, and 3 out of 4 times it worked extremely well. But then we went over there into Safety Town and we followed Richie around, and it just kept following him for 2, 3, 4 minutes. And even when it lost him behind a wall, it still found him as soon as he showed back up. So I was pretty happy to see that it did work. But the next few times that we did it, I kept it low to the ground and it tracked him until he went around the wall, and then it couldn't find out where to go. But what was cool was when it saw the wall, it avoided it. It used the obstacle avoidance. So then when I tried it the 3rd time, I raised it up slightly higher at a little bit more of an angle, and it followed him all the way around, even when he started to snake in and out. So I have to say, the Active Track worked extremely well 3 out of 4 times. So here's a couple quick tips for you. If you're going out and you're flying, which is what you should do with your drone, make sure you have extra batteries. 1 battery is not going to be enough. If you want to fly for 20 minutes and then be done with for the day and recharge, not enough. Get 2, 3, even 4 batteries depending on where you're going. Now, they do charge up pretty quick. Within 45 minutes or so, you should have a full charge back onto your battery. Let's talk about quality, because what's the point of having a drone if you can't capture great video and great stills? So this is doing cinema quality 4K. I'm very happy with the results that we're getting out of that 4K at 24 frames a second. There's a lot of other frame rates that you can do, including 1080 at 120. That's a new feature that you have in the Phantom 4. You're also able to shoot RAW files. It shoots DNGs when you're up in the air. Now, I will say the dynamic range isn't super great, but it's not bad at all. The videos and photos are so much better than, say, the DJI Phantom Vision 2 Plus. The old one that I used to have just looks so bad. The video quality is great. The stills are very good, and you have to remember that a lot of production companies are using these drones on TV shows. If it's good enough for TV, it's going to be absolutely good enough for anything that you're shooting, including the videos and the stills. remember, you have multiple sensors on this drone to help you avoid obstacles. It's called obstacle avoidance. You have the 2 in the front, you have the 2 on the bottom, but remember, you don't have any on top or on the back. So you're not going to avoid obstacles going backwards, or you're not going to avoid obstacles indoors if you go too high. Of course, you can limit how high you want to go, but that's up to you to set. But obstacle avoidance works extremely well. If you fly it right at yourself, it's going to stop when it encounters you. It's going to do a hard stop. You're also going to hear it beep, and you're going to know that it's going to kick in. So the obstacle avoidance works out pretty well. I wanted to see if I could fly into Safety Town, the sign, and to see how the obstacle avoidance would work. So I flew full bore towards the sign to see what would happen, and it stopped. You can see the hard stop. It pulls back because it knows that there's an obstacle in front of it. But I will warn you, in sports mode, you will not get the obstacle avoidance. So here's another time we tried obstacle avoidance. Richie was on the scooter. We had him go towards one of the little buildings, go through the doorway, and the drone stopped when it got to the obstacle. Tap to fly is another cool feature. Now, I used it where I tapped the X and had it fly out to it. What's also cool is when you're on the screen, you can go from 2 miles an hour to a little over 20 miles per hour, so you can control it, and it's gonna just go out. It's also going to avoid obstacles wherever you're going because of the obstacle avoidance. So tap to fly is so easy. You hit the tap to fly area, you look at your map, you tap where you wanna go, and it goes off into the distance. There's a lot of autonomous features with this drone. The basic ones are takeoff and landing. How easy is it to do? Super easy. Just swipe your finger across the screen, it's going to take off, and then you take over. And then when you're ready to land it, you go, all right, go ahead and swipe across to have it land. And it brings it down and it lands. A couple times today, because of the wind, it got up on one skid, but it cut the motors, it didn't flip over, and it landed perfectly every time. Quick tip, ND filters are a must. If you're flying out in broad daylight or pretty much flying during the day at any time, you want to have ND filters. You have to remember that this is a fixed aperture, so you're not able to cut down on the amount of light based on your aperture. You can only control the shutter speed and your ISO. That's why you want to have ND filters when you're flying your drone. Being that we're at Safety Town, we have to give you some safety tips. Make sure you do follow the FAA rules. Don't go over the 400 feet. Don't fly if you can't see your drone, but also be smart. If there's kids running around, if you're in a populated area, probably don't fly it. Now, we ran into a little thing where we wanted to fly inside of Safety Town and we wanted to do it safely. So I actually walked over to a couple of parents and asked if we could have 10 minutes to fly without the kids there. And I went in and I asked nicely, and they were like, sure, not a problem. And that's how we got to fly safely inside of Safety Town. So who is this drone for? You have to remember that this is a $1,400 drone, and I will tell you that it is super easy right out of the box to pick one up and start to fly it. But remember, you want to fly it safely. You want to practice where people aren't the first couple of times you are flying. This is an affordable option to go out there and be creative. But don't buy a drone if you just want to fly it around just for fun. The point of having these things is to be creative. And you have to think about that when you go out to shoot. What am I going to capture? What is the video that I'm looking to come home with? What are the stills that I'm looking to come home with? How am I going to edit it later, edit the video? You have to think about these things before you purchase a drone like this. At $13.99, it is affordable. It's easy to fly, easy to use, but you have to think about what are you going to do with it, and that is the most important thing to think about. You can pick one up today and start flying today. That's how good it is. So we've been out here all day flying here at Safety Town. We ran it through its paces. There's a lot of pros to it. There's not too many cons. It handled the wind very well. As you can see, it's awfully windy. Very happy with the results from the video. Very happy with the results of all of the new functions that this drone offers. And that is where I'm going to leave it. So from Safety Town, Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.